This month, we will celebrate the summer solstice. From the city of Barcelona, we will stand in an area surrounded by Olympic buildings, with more than 20 years of history. Here is the Tower of Montjuic, a 136 feet high telecommunications tower. The orientation and inclination of the masts, whose projection towards the sky matches the position of the sun at the summer solstice, makes this vantage point of modernity also acts as sundial, casting the shadow of the central spire on the Europe square. The same night of the solstice, this needle will also point exactly to the star Vega. In 11,700 years, will take the place of the North Star. If this tower still existed, its mast would concur with the projection of the Earth's axis. The brightest star in the northern hemisphere, Arcturus, will compete in the evenings of June with Vega, the alpha star of the constellation Lyra, and known as part of the summer triangle. We will talk about it in July. These two bright stars will help us locate, at the zenith, directly overhead, a beautiful crescent-shaped constellation, Borealis. Its brightest star, Alpha, also called Gemma, eclipsing binary with a second component high to companion star every 18 days, causing a decrease in brightness in 1/10 of a magnitude between Borealis and the star Vega, lies the constellation of Hercules, the demigod son of Zeus and a hero of Greek mythology. You can easily recognize the central body of the constellation, Hercules trapezius, which include the brightest globular cluster in northern hemisphere. We can locate, drawing an imaginary line between the stars Zeta and Eta. A third away from the latter will appear as a fuzzy star. M13, despite being located 22,000 light-years away, is visible to the naked eye, due to the high density of stars that compose it. Seen with the naked eye, as a blurred spot in the sky, begins to show its stellar nature with 100 mm diameter telescopes. If you have the opportunity to observe, through a telescope mirror which exceeds 300 mm, you can see the famous spider legs, that depart from the bright nucleus in all directions. 12 billion years ago, when our sun was not yet begun to form, this stunning deep sky object with stars, located in the far suburbs of our galaxy, could not be incorporated into its spiral arms. A planet located in the center of this cluster would have a sky full of hundreds of stars with negative magnitudes. Definitely a beautiful sight to the hypothetical extraterrestrial cities contaminated with artificial lights, and also a drab sky for amateur astronomers, devoid of a night sky. In 1974, the Arecibo radio telescope sent a coded message to this cluster, assuming that between 1 million suns that make this stunning stellar agglomeration, had a planet inhabited by intelligent beings who knew decrypt the message. They discover the numbers from 1 to 10, the atomic numbers of hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen and phosphorus, components of the DNA of our species and its double helical structure, the figure of a human being and its height, the population of the Earth, the solar system, and the image of the Arecibo radio telescope. Beings who receive this message must be very careful, because last less than 1 second. Looking towards the northern horizon, we look up to find, in a vast region of the sky, the 13th zodiacal constellation, Arcturus, the sergeant of the Argonauts or snake's tamer. Ras Al-Hag, located at the head of Arcturus, is the brightest star of this asterism, rises in the early hours of the night, on the eastern horizon. This constellation is especially rich in globular clusters, highlighting its beauty. M9. A cluster, whose components can be resolved with the telescope with mirror of 200 mm. M14, which due to stellar components, shows a yellowish hue. M107, located 20,000 light-years away. M10, visible, with 200 mm telescopes, yellowing, with very dense stellar core. M12, very similar characteristics to the previous cluster. And M62, which, together with the two previous clusters, is visible through a few simple binoculars. In 1604, the astronomer Johannes Kepler had the opportunity to study the explosion of a supernova in this region of the sky, next to the star Sabbage, the second brightest star in Arcturus. The Kepler supernova remnant is currently invisible to the human eye, but it is visible to the sensitive eyes of Chandra X-ray telescope. At the foot of Snake Tamer, and far from us 400 light-years away, is the star Ophiuchi binary, surrounded by a cloud of gas and dust, bluish reflection nebula IC 4604, which takes its color from young stars emitting light blue. Actually, this nursery of stars is located more than 100 light-years from Ophiuchi. Arcturus is the carrier of the Serpent constellation, which is divided into two, Serpens Caput and Serpens Cauda, the head and the tail of the snake. Stresses in the tail of the snake. M16, lies the Eagle Nebula. The set consists of the open cluster NGC 6611 with over 400 stars, associated with an emission nebula, inside of the so-called pillars of creation, which are actually huge plumes of dust and molecular gas that condense to originate stars. Well known by stargazers, is Higgs object, a ring galaxy formed by a ring of young blue stars, surrounding the galactic core formed by yellow stars, much older. In this picture we can see that there seems to be some galactic material between the ring and the core, that prevent to see another galaxy far away. In this constellation lies our pulsar, whose proximity with the white dwarf companion has caused such a gravitational interaction on it that has been detached of its outer layers, leaving only a carbon nucleus. Under conditions of great pressure has increased its density to crystallize into diamond. Watching the stillness of the sky over your head, and discover the motion of the Earth under your feet.